Hi there, welcome to Unveiling Buddhism, your ultimate destination for insightful teachings, thought-provoking discussions, and enlightening insights into the world of Buddhism. After leaving Master Udaka, Siddhartha wandered around until he reached Uruvela forest. Captivated by its tranquility, he decided to settle down and continue his quest for enlightenment. Shortly after erecting a modest hut for himself, Siddhartha was approached by 5 ascetics. They expressed eagerness to serve and join him on his spiritual quest. But who were these 5 men? To understand their significance, we must recall the naming ceremony of Prince Siddhartha in episode 5. Do you remember Hermit Asita? The sage who both laughed and cried upon meeting the baby Siddhartha. Well, one of these 5 men was Asita's nephew, Nalaka. Asita had revealed to young Nalaka that Siddhartha was a bodhisattva who would become a Buddha. Therefore, Nalaka was urged to seize the opportunity to serve and learn from a Buddha. Upon receiving this sacred knowledge from his revered uncle, Nalaka was filled with inspiration and immediately forsaken his worldly life to become a Shramana. Over time, he shared his vision with 4 others and convinced them to join him in his mission. Remaining updated on Siddhartha's life, Nalaka eagerly searched for him upon learning of the great renunciation. The group of men rejoiced upon discovering Siddhartha in the forest, ecstatic that Asita's prophecy was coming true.
Hey, what is a bodhisattva?
Oh, a bodhisattva is someone who aspires to become a Buddha. This aspiration requires perfecting various virtues over countless lifetimes until conditions are ripe for enlightenment. At Uruvela forest, Siddhartha decided to practice extreme asceticism. It refers to severe abstinence of mundane activities for a religious or spiritual purpose. Driven solely by an unwavering determination to attain enlightenment, ascetic Siddhartha fervently devoted himself to purging mundane activities, convinced that shedding worldly activities would unveil transcendent wisdom. In the next 6 years, Siddhartha rigorously disciplined his mind to stop mundane thoughts. In addition to that, he also fasted and gradually reduced his food intake, deeming it mundane. He even tried to restrict his very breath by suppressing it. Such relentless efforts took a toll on his body, plunging him into feverish states and causing him agonizing headaches. Various physical ailments also began to manifest. Siddhartha fainted repeatedly, and his once robust frame dwindled to a skeletal semblance of his former self. As the 6th year drew to a close, his life teetered on the brink of extinction. At the brink of death, Siddhartha concluded that extreme asceticism is not the way to enlightenment, and once again he bravely decided to restart his quest for enlightenment.
Wow, I'm truly impressed by Siddhartha's unwavering determination. And I suppose Buddhism doesn't endorse fasting since Siddhartha nearly perished from it.
It's a bit of a mixed bag actually. Let me break it down for you. So picture this. Back in Buddha's time, monks and nuns having just one meal before noon was simply being practical. It was no big deal. I mean, who needs multiple meals when you are not exactly running marathons or battling harsh winter? Moreover, begging from door to door can be extremely time-consuming. Then came the lay people, who are used to their 3 square meals and probably a snack or 2 in between. Suddenly, skipping dinner feels like they are giving up their firstborn child, and they started calling it fasting. Alright, putting jokes aside, our point is that the so-called Buddhist fastings are not fastings in the true sense, as Buddha would not advocate starvation. Abstaining from food after noon was a regular practice for Buddha and his monastics. But for those accustomed to 3 meals a day, skipping dinner might feel like fasting, leading them to label it as such. Alright, in case you wonder, why would anyone willingly give up their beloved afternoon tea and dinner? Well, some folks decided they needed a break from secular life to focus on meditation. Therefore, copying the practical lifestyle of the monastics will help them make use of their time more efficiently. Furthermore, some people will also abstain from entertainment, sex, and other sensual pursuits. In short, it was a highly personal decision about how to spend time meaningfully on a no-work day. And you know what? Such a personal practice began to morph into religious group activity, and misunderstanding began to arise. Complicated religious rituals began to appear with great fanfare. Each school of Buddhism has its unique rites that are inspired by local customs and culture. People started to misconstrue these abstinences as a form of mystical practices that attract good fortune or get rid of misfortune, much like how other religions practice penance on holy days. Suddenly, a very ordinary, practical, personal Buddhist decision becomes saturated with religious connotations that are not Buddhist at all. Up to this point, it's important to recognize that Buddhism was not inherently ritualistic. Instead, it adapted local customs over time to promote adherence to the Buddhist principles. While such integration aids in familiarizing lay people with monastic practices, there is a risk of misunderstanding, as some might incorrectly view these practices as religious rituals aimed at fulfilling worldly desires. As a result, individuals began to believe that observing fasting rituals on designated days would bring them good fortune. Rather than prioritizing meditation, their attention became fixated on the act of fasting itself. They mistakenly perceive fasting as the primary goal, convinced that abstaining from food after noon guarantees the arrival of favorable fortunes in life. Guess what? People start to binge eat before noon to beat the game. After stuffing themselves silly, they became tired and spent their time sleeping in the monastery instead. On the other hand, some individuals become so fixated on timing that they consult meteorologists or astrologers to pinpoint the precise moment of noon according to the sun's position, attributing mystical significance to it. They believe that any deviation would disrupt the cosmic magic of this fasting ritual. Can you envision Buddha's exasperation at such superstition? Separately, some individuals wrongly believe that fasting can absolve them of bad karma, mistakenly equating enlightenment with the absence of negative karma. Tragically, this misunderstanding led to a man starving himself to death during a retreat. Similarly, misunderstanding in ancient Japan resulted in misguided fasting rituals, culminating in self-mummification. These instances highlight the dire consequences of misinformation and a lack of comprehension of Buddha's teachings and his life.
Hold on a sec. Aren't there Buddhist practices that include fasting and are guided by qualified teachers? If these practices aren't bringing us any goodies like earning merits, why are they still a thing?
Indeed, such practices exist, and they do bring benefits. For instance, in various Buddhist traditions, there is a popular observance known as the 8 precepts, which includes abstaining from killing, stealing, sexual activity, lying, intoxicants, eating after noon, entertainment, and using luxurious furniture. There is also the Noonday ritual, a practice of austerity and fasting centered around Avalokiteshvara, the Buddha of compassion. It typically spans 2.5 days, with the first day devoted to observing the 8 precepts, followed by complete silence and fasting on the second day. How do these practices benefit us? Upholding the 8 precepts helps cultivate and contemplate mindfulness and positive qualities such as loving kindness and compassion. Overall, these Buddhist practices incorporate fundamental teachings and may or may not involve fasting. It is through cultivating positive thoughts in these practices that one gains merit, rather than through fasting itself. Alright, in wrapping up, let's remember that while Buddha wasn't into extreme diets and self-inflicted pain, understanding the true purpose behind diverse Buddhist practices, it's fundamental for attaining their intended benefits. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button below and give us a thumbs up. Your support helps us grow and create more amazing videos for you. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Subscribe now and join Unveiling Buddhism. Keep calm and meditate on.